And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today I'm going to be taking a look at Goblins Incorporated from Rio Grande Games. Now this is a game in which you are teaming up with players to build giant robots to attack each other. You build those robots out of different parts, and it has many people compared it to another game that I really like called Galaxy Trucker. So with the cool artwork really on here, the cool theme and the cool idea, I fully expect to just really enjoy this game. But you never know, so let's take a look. There's a lot of different pieces in this game, and I'm going to tell you how a 4-player game works, and then I'll talk a little bit about how less than that. Each player is going to get 3 goblins of their color. One of those is used on a scoring track down here, which is essentially done to get points. The game takes place over 2 rounds. For each of those rounds, you're going to draw one of these cards for each round. So there's 3 cards. When you draw the card, it tells you who's teamed up. So red and green player against blue and yellow, or green and yellow against blue and red, or blue and green versus red and yellow. So when, let's say these are the 2 cards and I'm the blue player, that means 1 round I'm on yellow's team and 1 round I'm on red's team. So each team is going to be building a separate robot. These are these tiles which will be used to build the robot on, and you're going to be smashing and fighting with your robot against your opponent's robot. The first thing you'll do in that round, after deciding who's on what team, is you're going to then draw a blueprint card. The blueprint card shows you some spots that you can't build on the robot. You're going to take the 4 goblins of your team and place them on the squares of the robot, like it's shown here on the blueprint card, or on this card, this card. Each one shows something different. That's just some places that you can't build. Then building begins. Before building, players are going to draw 7 of these secret objective cards. These are things that you're trying to do. And these can refer to you adding things to your own robot or blowing up things on your opponent's robot. So this will help you as you do the building round. Now, as the building round begins, one player is going to be building and the other person's basically planning and waiting. While you're planning, you will draw 5 tiles. You will look at these 5 tiles and you'll give 2 to your corresponding opponent and they'll give 2 to you. So you'll end up with 5 tiles. The other person's building, they're taking the 5 tiles that they have and they're placing them pretty much any way they want on this. However, you will likely want to make it so that they connect, because you'll see that on these tiles there's different metal bolting things that will connect. After both players are done, any pieces that don't connect are going to come off. Now there's all sorts of tiles, right? You see here are a pile of weapons, but there are also tiles that provide more engines. There are tiles that will provide armor. After the robot is built, it will put a piece of armor on which protects those 2 tiles. There are some tiles that simply have decorations on them, like this dragon here, which doesn't do any good but might be part of a secret objective and also gives you a chance to have more weapons out there. So you can see the different weapons. They have arrows that are pointing in different directions. That's the side of the robot that will attack. When both of these robots are finished, when players have filled it up except for the spots where they can't, so in this instance, well, they wouldn't have been able to build there. There's the 4 spots that were blocked. You can't build in those. When everything else is built, then the robots are going to fight. When fighting, the first thing you'll do is you'll look at your 7 cards and you'll pick the 4 that you want to keep. You're not going to be, you have 4 agendas that you're going to be trying for this round. You'll also take your robot and you'll put all 4 of your dudes in the cockpit. One player is going to be the driver at first, and they're given this. The other player is going to be in charge of tactics, and they're going to be given this 3D triangle, not 3D, but this triangle piece. Some tactic cards are placed in the middle of the table, 3 of them actually. Now, each round of this battle, and there's 4 rounds of battle, both players are going to, without communication, be deciding what they're going to do. One person is driving, the other person is going to pick a tactics card. When you pick a tactics card, you are going to secretly places in front of you. If you pick this circle, that means you want the middle one. If you pick this arrow, obviously you want the one on this side. If you pick this arrow, you want the one on the other side. So you'll pick this, place it there, and you'll take it. And each of these will give you special things. Like, for example, if you take this card, you can take one of your dice and multiply it times 2, and you can add an extra die. If you pick this one, you can move a piece, and there's all sorts of things that you can pick. And homie, you can pick what the die face is from 1 to 5. If 2 players pick the same one, whoever has more engines on their robot gets it, and the other person gets nothing. So you have to be careful for that. The other player is going to be taking a look here at how they're going to move and what side of their opponent they're going to shoot at. Now, if you don't turn, you're fine, but you'll roll 1 less combat die. You can turn to the right or the left or completely around, but you need that many engines to do it. You can shoot at the opponent's side, or you can even shoot at their rear, but it costs more engines to do that. So if, for example, I turn completely around and shoot at my opponent's rear, I need to have at least 4 engines on my thing. If I shoot at their front and turn that direction, I only need 1 engine. So you have to keep in mind of what your engines are. Obviously, if you have no engines left, you have to shoot forward and not turn, which means you roll 1 less die. When shooting, you'll look at the side of the ship of theirs that you're shooting, their robot, and you also look at your side, and you'll see how many arrows are pointing that way, and that's how many dice you get. You will roll those dice, and you will hit their side based on the number that you rolled. So let's say this ship here was being hit from the front, and it was hit, and I rolled 2 1s. That means this piece is destroyed, and this piece is destroyed. If it had been a 2, we would have destroyed this piece of armor first before we destroy any of the pieces. If your cockpit is hit because it's exposed, you start losing guys. If all 4 of your guys are gone, the battle's over and the other team wins. Otherwise, the team that does more damage is going to get points after you're over, and then players are going to reveal their secret objective cards. Now remember, I told you about these secret objective cards, like this one here. If you kill 3 pieces with that symbol on them. This snitch star, if you use this one at the beginning, you have to say whether you think your opponents are going to win or whether you're going to win, and you'll get points. This one here, the sandbagger, if you build a certain thing like that around an engine, you'll get points. And so the different ones, if you blow up your opponent's smiley face, you get points. And I mean, if you blow up one of their decorations, you'll get 2 points. And so all these cards will give specific points based on what you do. Kamikaze, you need to, for each of these that you blow up, you're going to get 2 points. So there's lots of cool things, and you can get a lot of points if you blow them up. This just gives you 3 points, 1 point for every 3 tiles. Why this one here gives you 4 points if you do 3 different a decoration, a weapon, and an engine. So there's all sorts of cards. You have to pick ahead of time which ones you're going to do, and hopefully they'll get you points different than your partner. At the end of a round, you start and do the whole thing all over again. So, to reiterate, you get points if your team wins. And both teams are going to get the same points. Well, actually, it depends who has more people in the cockpit. But essentially, you get points. You can get 6 points for winning the battle. Most of your points are going to come from your secret objectives, though. So you're working together with your partner, but not completely so, because your objectives might be very different than theirs. After 2 rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner. There's a lot going on, and before I go any farther, I should mention the 3-player rules are a little bit different because basically each round one guy fights by himself against the other 2. And so you'll have to play multiple rounds so each player gets that chance to be by themselves. It's really best as a 4-player game. There's a lot of cool things in the game. Building the robots is fun. I love that aspect. I love that aspect of any game. Building something just is a cool idea, and you have to get these, and the stuff looks cool. I mean, the weapons are essentially all the same, but they look different and cool. Picking different cards is a cool idea. Having a different random teammate each round is a cool idea. The tactics cards, outguessing your opponents, is a cool idea. There's a lot of cool ideas in one box, and yet I find the game mediocre. Isn't that odd? You know, you would think that I would like it with all this stuff that's going on in it. And I think my finger on it is, at the end of the day, I felt like nothing I did had really mattered that much, and everything was just random. The game is incredibly random, and it's just a little slow and long for being that random. Now, I know people get on my case and say, but you like Galaxy Trucker. Well, first of all, Galaxy Trucker, when the meteorites and stuff hit you, yeah, that's random, but at the same time, you can build a pretty cool ship, and it's funny and fast, and you can build a decent ship that can survive most asteroids anyway. And this one, it's a slow build, it's a slog, your ship isn't that exciting, and you shoot weapons and the tactics cards, and that's all cool and good, but, the dice, I like them. They have a blank side on one side and 1 through 5, that's cool, so there's always a chance that you'll miss. But the combat just seems like, wow. We shoot, boom, you shoot, boom. I don't know how to explain it, and yet it all feels just kind of out of nowhere. The driving, I have no idea which way my opponent's going to turn. I'm sure he's going to turn, so he's going to shoot with most of his guns, and then pick the side of mine that has the least guns, but then I'm thinking he's going to do that, and then he's thinking I'm going to do that, so we're calculating for that, and you would think this would bring out a great Vizzini effect, but the fact is it doesn't. It's more of a, I have no idea what he's going to do, so I'm just going to try to shoot with my most weapons and hit a side, hopefully that, I don't know which way he's turning. But, I don't know. Man, it's so weird. This looks like a great package. But the fact is the game left me feeling a little flat. Now, I didn't dislike it. I'd give this one maybe I'd even give it a 6. It wasn't like I hated the game. But it was a little slow for what it was. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of explanation when you teach new people the game because it's not totally intuitive. And yet at the end, it just didn't give me any kind of satisfaction for the amount of effort put into it. The satisfaction that was produced wasn't that much. So I do think there's a lot of people who will like it. I think there's a lot of people who will hate it. And I think the people who hate it will be more than those who like it. Just because the chaos factor is so high that I think it overshadows the cool factor and all the neat things that you do. So anyway, that's Goblins Incorporated.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.